set to expire in September. Now, we all know the pause was put in place at the beginning of the pandemic. It was already extended once by the President. It's proven to be one of the most effective steps that the government has taken to help Americans get through the health and economic crises created by COVID-19. That's why last month, Senator Warren, Representative Presley, and I, along with many of our state, Senate, and House colleagues, sent a letter to President Biden asking to extend this pause to give Americans more time to get back on their feet. COVID created severe hardship for some, threw many others off their stride. To make borrowers repay their debts now would be unfair, would be harsh, and in many instances would be cruel. People were thrown off their stride by COVID. Give them a chance to recover. Wait till the spring. That's all. Well, that's not the only thing we're asking, but that's the first thing we're asking. We are also continuing to call on President Biden to use his existing legal authority to cancel up to $50,000 of student debt. This pause has actually shown how important canceling student debt is to borrowers and to our economy. We've heard about how being saddled with this debt has affected millions of Americans' lives on so many choices that they'd like to make. They're not able to pursue the career they want. They're putting off getting married or starting a family. They aren't able to open a business, buy a house, even buy a car, which many of them need to get to work. So we know how much of a difference extending the pause makes. Well, 10 times over, canceling $50,000 in debt would be even more important and helpful to these folks who are borrowers, to get the economy going, and to deal with the racial inequality which student debt has exacerbated. Resuming these payments could stall our country's economic recovery. It could bring millions of loan borrowers to the edge of financial crisis. If the pause on student loan payment isn't extended, the average borrower would have to pay about $400 a month. Just figure that out. You're getting back on your feet from COVID. You may have had a loss of income. You may have missed some rent payments. You may have have to put off other things, your credit rating. $400 a month is much too much right now for so many people. It's $400 a month that can't cover groceries or books or rent or supplies for kids as they go back to school. In short term, it's going to mean more people will struggle to recover from the pandemic. We've had enough struggling. In the long term, extending the pause and eventually canceling student loan debt would be a bold step towards economic opportunity for millions of Americans and for our whole economy. There's hardly a better way to give a shot in the arm to this economy than this. As I said, canceling student debt would also, a passion of the three of us, would deal with decades of economic injustice and racial inequality. Student debt falls disproportionately on black and brown borrowers, many of whom are first-time college graduates. Canceling up to $50,000 in their families. Canceling up to $50,000 in debt would close the racial wealth gap between black and white borrowers by 25%, between Latino and white borrowers by 27%. So with all this good, all President Biden has to do is flick his pen, sign it, make America a happier, better, more prosperous place. Senator Warren, Representative Presley, and I are going to keep fighting until this happens. I'm going to turn it over to Senator Warren, who's been a complete champion on this. And I reminded my colleagues here, this is my mask that I wear all the time, you know that. Cancel student debt. I wore fight anti-Asian violence. That passed. I wore save the restaurants. That passed. I wore save the stages. That passed.